Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 922. Today, going to talk about the new iOS 18 that was released, and there's some reasons why. And that was released on Monday. RCS, which is Rich Communication Services. We finally have that on iPhones. And I got listener email, couple personal things I'm going to kick off with, and a couple quick stories from the trenches. So first, last night I got to see ELO. You know I love going to concerts. I love talking about music, love music. And I have never seen ELO, and they were absolutely high up on my music bucket list for seeing them live, and it was just great seeing Jeff Lynne, and it was tremendous. I was with my middle son, Ryan, and we had a good time, and it was nice. I go to a lot of concerts, and it's nice seeing so many people my age there, so enjoying it, so and with their kids, and that was great. So good time. And then during that concert, my Phillies clinched a playoff spot, so that's why I'm wearing the Philly Connect hat today in honor of that. So looking forward to them to now clinch the division and then get a bye for that first round of the playoffs. I have been incredibly busy. When I mean busy, crazy busy. And that's why Thursday I had a push to today, Saturday. Couldn't do the show Thursday night. Not only a lot of client work, but I had multiple proposals to finish, including one that I literally sent out Thursday night and it was accepted on Friday. We have a couple adjustments to make, but I am very, very happy that I was able to get that. And then I finally got the check from my client, and so I could place the order, a very large order with Dell, multiple computers, a server. I have a ton of equipment that I had to order from Amazon that's going to be delivered tomorrow, and just an insane project in lighting up a new dental office where they moved to the new office, but an unreasonable start date. They waited to the last minute to give the go to purchase everything, and I don't know if everything's going to get in this week. So we have a lot of work. And then next Sunday, I fly back down to Florida. So this show, and then hopefully I'll be able to do a show Thursday night. They'll be the last two shows from Pennsylvania for a couple months. And then I'll be back for Christmas and New Year's, and then head back to Florida after that. So just crazy. So to begin, I wasn't going to do this, but I have a couple stories that I think is just worthy of talking about. A client bought a laptop. This is a new client, and we advised her on the specs. She wanted to do the purchase herself. And my son transferred all of the data a couple weeks ago. And she's been having trouble with Zoom and Teams calls because the camera that's built in this Lenovo laptop wouldn't just, you get nothing. And I remoted in, and she had two items, and we're going to talk about the second one too. I remoted in, and here's the thing. Everything looked okay, but it just said like the camera was off, so there was some type of switch. And I had to do some research, and I found that the webcam on the laptop has a privacy slider, but it's real tiny. And it's beside the webcam, and it might be closed. I said, please check that if the slider beside your webcam is closed. She did, opened it up, everything's working great. Now, confusion with email. I hate, it's a strong word, hate. I hate the new Outlook. All it does is cause stress and problems for clients. I don't know anybody that's successfully using the new Outlook unless you have a Microsoft 365 email account. So now the problem is every time she wanted to book an appointment online and you can add it to your calendar and it downloads that RCS file. Well, she clicks on it, but it would open up an email that I think Microsoft kind of conned her into making for an Outlook.com. It wasn't her main email, which is in the classic Outlook, but both exist on the same system. And it would open up the wrong one. That means the default was wrong. And when I seen that, I was like, okay, I got this. I said, do you even need this email? No. She says, I don't even know what this is. I was like, great. I closed the new Outlook. You go to the apps that are installed and you can remove Outlook New. But that's not it. Once I uninstalled it, you got to go to default apps and make Outlook the default email client for all things email. So Outlook Classic would run. So that works. And I had to talk about that. I got two more stories. And one, a client called me Thursday night. And it's funny because it's a Florida client, and I walked him through his monitor was just black. He has two monitors and everything was black. And we tried putting in the power cord again, reestablishing the video cable. We rebooted. We did everything and no joy. I'm saying your monitor's broke. Unplug it, pull all the things. And this is where it's interesting. While everything was plugged in, the computer thought there was a second monitor. So things were listed there. And the system didn't know that it wasn't working. So once he disconnected everything switched to the one monitor, and he's like, oh, I can work. And I was like, yes. So he's not totally down. I said, look, what's the closest store to you? And he said, Best Buy. So I said, I know you have a display port on your computer. And his monitor was real. It was an Acer, and it was like 10 years old, like ridiculously old. So I said, look, if Best Buy is close, go to Best Buy, purchase a Samsung 24-inch monitor that has a DisplayPort connection, and then you're going to get a DisplayPort cable, DisplayPort to DisplayPort. He's at Best Buy, and yesterday morning, I get a phone call while he's with the guy in the computer area, and he wants to make sure, and he puts the guy on, and I said, does this monitor have a DisplayPort? And he said yes. So I said, great. And I asked my client, you happy with this monitor? Yes. I said, okay, also sell him a DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable. I said, this is going to be a piece of cake. You're going to connect it all up, no problem. I may have to make some adjustments. I can log in and remotely do that to maybe extend the monitor or which one's the main, the basics. And he gets home, and none of the cable does it. He says, Mike, there's no DisplayPort on the monitor. And he sent me a picture. It was VGA and HDMI. I couldn't believe it. The guy had no idea. None. And this is a great message and a little story you can share with your clients that there is a good chance that the person is clueless that they will be talking to. And how many times do clients will quote a kid in Best Buy or Staples and against what I'm recommending? And I'm like, okay, you're going to believe a kid that has no experience, that is motivated by stipends to push only products that he will make money, and he'll be punished if other things are sold, and against me, who has 40 years of experience. So anyway, he had to go back. He took the DisplayPort. No, excuse me. Yes, he took the DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable back, and got an HDMI to DisplayPort. And then everything worked. But I just had to share that because I can't take it, being compared to, Geek Squad and some of these places that they do more harm than good. All right. Fake call from Intuit, QuickBooks. And I can't believe this accountant fell for it who works for a client and he does the remote work. He sent a screenshot to me, and at least he stopped and sent a screenshot of a snippet of his event logs of QuickBooks errors. Now, I don't care how good your system is, and the bad guys know this. They can walk you through an event viewer and have you view critical errors. There's always errors in the event log, and we know this, and they're not serious all the time. And the person had him find all these QuickBooks errors and said, see, you got a problem. Luckily, this is like a long con where they were going to, call him back, and he reached out to me, hey, it's not doing updates or whatever. I'm on top of all this, and thank God he actually copied the owner so I could we had a conference call, not without him, that we really got to educate him. And this is someone who thinks he knows everything, so he's always right. But he was conned. Someone called up and said, hey, your QuickBooks is expiring, and and he went through a whole spiel. This was not Intuit. This was someone who's eventually after their credit card or wants to gain remote access. And luckily, at least for now, he says that that he did not allow them to remote into the computer, which I hope that's true. And here's another issue. It's his personal laptop. So how much control do we have? It's not one of the company's assets. So I can't even make sure it's got the proper anti-ransomware, antivirus. We are changing that and doing a policy. And it's something else I have to do after the show today, including remote in. I got 3 clients I got to remote into their systems with different problems. One, Outlook is crashing. Another one, the guy's having trouble with his mouse, and I got to call him. And what's the other one? I forget. I have it written down. But and then I got a couple Malwarebytes renewals to do, and then I got to write this policy that's going to be sent out that you're not allowed anybody to remote access as long as you have anything that can connect to the network. And he does have Log Me In, that's what they use for remote access to a couple computers, that then the QuickBooks is on site working, and they can't go to QuickBooks Online. That's a long story. It doesn't support some of the inventory features that they have. So, and I think I've talked about that once. Then now, I also this week, it's great cybersecurity training. So I finally took that list that I talked about a couple weeks ago and had 2 training sessions. I got 2 more next Wednesday. Another client moving. Can't believe how many clients are moving. And I think this is the commercial real estate is down in this area. I mean, there is lots of availability. And that's post-pandemic, where a lot of people started working remotely, and you can get great deals. And this is a CPA firm that has shrunk a little bit, and they just got too much real estate. They got too much square foot that they're renting, and they got a better deal. So we're going to have to move them. And I did the walkthrough. When was the walkthrough? Was yesterday. And was it? I forget now. The days are blending from this week because I've been so busy. But I walked through. It's going to be a piece of cake. They're leaving the switch, the patch panel, everything was wired. The place that they're taking over the lease, from an IT perspective, this is, even though it's a slightly smaller office, it's a significant upgrade because the room they have for the server room, it's great. It's temperature controlled, and at night there was a rack already there on the wall with. It's going to be an easy move, and that's going to be happening, I think, towards the end of October. So, all right. So, with all of that, Monday, I was presented with the opportunity to install iOS 17.7, but if you scrolled, you could do 18. I'm always worried about doing such a significant upgrade of an iOS on my phone because I'm like, please don't brick it. Please don't have a problem, because my phone is the appendage on my body for my business. It's my lifeline. And do I do it? And I don't know why, but I let's do it. And I did the upgrade, and then there's a couple critical apps that I need. I sent a text message and it worked. I ran those couple critical apps and they worked after the upgrade, because remember, when you're doing a big upgrade like this, all your apps have to update. It's going to get hot, and the phone did get hot. Cools down after a couple hours, but then I had 55 apps that had to be updated, and they were all, finally when they were all updated, and they updated pretty quickly. Then now I got to test, does it work as a real phone? And it did. So did a test phone call. So everything's working. So what did we gain? And these are some of the things. The photo app, they redesigned features. The collections automatically organize your library. It's customization options let you reorder, add, and remove collections and rows and add. There's a lot of photo changes for the photo app. I am going to have a link for all those changes so you can take a look and then make the decision. If maybe you already upgraded and you're not sure, hey, what are the new features, or if you're thinking about it. But I'm going to give you the biggest change, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, and that is the ability for RCS. That is rich communication. That is hold on, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. It is Rich Communication Services. That is a service that always was available on Android for messaging. So a while back, I talked about all the different problems when communicating from an iPhone to someone who has an Android and vice versa. And it was because of the lack of RCS support on the iPhone. I am so glad it has that, because I communicate with a lot of Android people. A couple family members have Androids. And I thankfully was able to test, and it's been working great. It's been now since Monday, or really Tuesday, since I've been texting, because I did this like Monday night. And no problems, no issues of someone not receiving a message or an error or a problem. That is tremendous. And we're going to dive a little bit into RCS as soon as I finish this on the changes. They made big changes, Apple, on the home screen. You can change the icons where they go. You can add the widgets. You can have complete control. And Android users are laughing because they've always had that. And now Apple has loosened it up for where you can make a ton of changes. Color tinting, dark icons, give a darker aesthetic. And I actually did not like dark mode in the past. I like dark mode with iOS 18. Actually looks good. And they changed a lot of the icons, and I can see everything clearly. They have larger icons, allows you to make all the app icons and widgets on your screen appear larger and removing the name beneath that. So that's pretty cool. Let's see what else we'll hit. Control center, the lock screen, Safari made there's changes. Passwords, there's now a password app that you can explore. Maps. Now, interesting, I didn't notice big changes from it in Apple CarPlay. And I was using Apple CarPlay this week, and I was kind of hoping there'd be some changes, and I just haven't noticed them yet. So, but they did make some maps changes. Gaming, of course, I don't use gaming. They did updates for wallet, journal, phone, privacy. So all these things you can take a look at from the link that I'm going to have in the show notes for today's show. And of course, it's Mac Rumors. Love Mac Rumors. Anything Apple related, iPhone related, that is your great source. So, all right, hold on. Let me pause there, and there we go. I want to bring up some links here. So the next link is just a Wikipedia explaining what rich communication services is. What is that? And it's the instant messaging for mobile phones that I don't understand why Apple did not embrace that. Yes, they have their iMessage that they want, but they can't live in a world that they are the only phone. You know, there are other phones in the world, and you got to be able to communicate with them. And so they're finally, just like now they have a USB-C port, a real USB-C port, not a proprietary Lightning port. And it's interesting because if it wasn't for Europe laying the gauntlet down to Apple, forcing them to do that, they wouldn't be able to sell iPhones over there. So we're now getting some of the standards that other phone users have had. And if you're listening to this, you're like, Mike, you sound like you're pretty anti-iPhone. Why do you have an iPhone? And that's because most of my clients, like 90% of them, live in an Apple ecosystem at home, whether it be Macs, but mostly phones. All the executives, everybody that I deal with for all of my clients, they're all iPhone users. There's very few Android. So because of that, I have to live in this Apple ecosystem. Now, I do love my MacBook Pro. Love it. And my AirPods. And I have an iPad. So I have it all. So I live in that Apple world, even though my primary source of income is Windows. So that's kind of funny, but I enjoy both, and it mixes it up. All right. Anyway, rather than read this, take a look if you want to learn more about rich communication services. That link will be in the show notes. And then just another great link, wireless carrier support and features for iPhones in the United States and Canada. And if you go down to the United States, you'll see which carriers have which services. And of course, your service has to support it. And T-Mobile does support RCS. And I was really glad when 18 installed, it automatically turned that on. So if it's not, you should double check. Take a look at how you can find where it's at and see that button's turned on. So that brings us to email. And okay. And this is who is Puppo and Tech. Hey, Mike, just wanted to follow up on the CPU discussion. It's a massive issue and is quite widespread with coverage from almost all the enthusiast PC sites and YouTube channels. See, I don't live in that world of building your own computers anymore, and I'm not a gamer, so that's why this is all new to me. The issue only affects 13th and 14th generation i7 and i9 CPUs. So your i5 14th generation and your i7, i9 12th generations are fine. Okay, that's another reason why I sell a lot of Optiplexes that are 14th gen i5 because the price point is so good. Intel should be replacing these, and to the person who had issues with Intel asking for more and more info, he should reach out to Steve at Gamers Nexus to see if they can mediate between him and Intel. Gamers Nexus has been doing a lot of work helping the community get warranty coverage from many companies, most specifically Asus. All the best. That is great to hear, because my next email is from Bob, the person with the issue. And he continues, the saga continues with trying to get a replacement CPU for my son's system. Bob, you got to check this person out and see if they can help you. We are still going back and forth with emails, with tech support on his ticket, and half the time they don't respond unless you do follow up with an email. But we are not at the point where they are going to send him one. But I just read this message on the Intel community page where this guy has the same issue, but with the 13th gen i7 processor. Looks like he got a bit further on the RMA process and sent his old chip in, and it shows it was delivered to them. And when he followed up, he never heard back from them, and he said all he got was a request to send his CPU in. So it looks like the battle has only just begun. That is so frustrating. Bob, I am so sorry, but hopefully Pup on Tech here, look at Steve at Gamers Nexus, and maybe they can intervene and provide some help. That would be good if they can. All right. This is a YouTube comment, and he says, I have an i9 13900 and an MSI motherboard. It asks what cooler you have. If you choose liquid, it will max out PL1 and 2 at 4,000 watts. Intel recommends 153 and 253 watts. I do not overclock at all, even though I got the KF, even though I got the KF, zero issues. They like to keep defaulting to max, so I had to enter the wattages manually. Wow. That's amazing that they would default to the max. That would just, make you overheat or have a problem. Anyway, okay. This is from, CJ. And he's like, this is a follow-up to my Windows 11 Pro setup. He says, hello, Mike. Fellow tech here, and I love the show. Recently on show 921, you talked about bypassing the updates during Windows 11 Pro setup. I have two ways I do this listed below. Both I do not plug in the Ethernet during setup. So option 1, as soon as the setup screen comes up, press Shift and F10. Bring up the command prompt and type OOBE, this is all uppercase, / bypass NRO, all one word, no spaces. This will reboot the system, and you will be able to select I don't have a network during setup and create a local account and no updates. That's the big thing. Option 2, use audit mode on Windows 11. As soon as the setup screen comes up, press Control Shift F3. This will boot into audit mode so you can install any software needed before setup is complete and updates are done. Then, when done, you can run sysprep by doing Windows run and type the following. sys:/Windows /system32 /sysprep /sysprep.exe, or use the on-screen sysprep window that pops up. Hopefully, one of these modes will help you do the software install before updates are ran during setup. And remember, do not connect to the internet before doing either of these options. I love it, CJ. Thank you. That not only helps me, but I know is going to help a lot of other people. It's great. It's why I love this community and everybody for helping out each other. This is great. The final email, and I am, let's see. No. So we'll cut that. Okay. That is it for today's show. I want to thank everybody for listening and staying subscribed. Don't forget, you can email me, MikeTechShow@gmail.com. Don't forget to go to the website, MikeTechShow.com. That'll flip you to MikeNation.net. That's where you get all the information. Also, please, and I appreciate all the donations. If you have just a couple pennies, please click donate to help support the show. And I really appreciate that. And again, that's on the main website. And of course, please like and stop by the YouTube channel, Michael Smith MTS channel on YouTube. It's where I post all the videos, and hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate that. That is it from this fine Saturday afternoon, and hope to see you this week on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye, everybody.